Johnny Cash as the killer in a Columbo episode. On paper, it shouldn't work, but Swan Song is an enduring fan favorite and yet another addition to Season 3's mostly stellar repertoire.
What the devil are you driving at?
The Man in Black plays gospel singer Tommy Brown, and you better get used to this song he plays, cause it's gonna be stuck in your head for hours after you see this.
I saw the light, I saw the light, no more darkness, no more night.
The footage here is taken from a real Johnny Cash concert, by the way. Man, everyone loves Johnny Cash. What could he have possibly done that's so bad he'd have to murder someone over it?
Statutory rape.
Oh, shit, right. Yes, old Tommy's been having it away with one of his backing singers, the young Marianne Cobb. Make that the very young Marianne Cobb.
How old were you then, child?
16.
Tommy may be a country singing superstar, but he doesn't see a penny of the proceeds generated by the Lost Souls Brigade as his spiteful wife Edna takes it all for herself and funnels it into the building of the world's biggest tabernacle. And obviously, if Tommy tries to alter this arrangement in any way, she'll out him for being guilty of, what was it again?
Statutory rape.
Oh, right, that, yeah. Edna is one of the least sympathetic victims ever, truly despicable in every way. She clearly doesn't give a damn about poor Marianne and is willing to use her and what she's had to go through in order to get what she wants from Tommy, and all while hiding behind the veil of being a devout, morally righteous Christian.
May God forgive me for letting a devil help me build a temple.
Interesting to see such swipes being taken at religious hypocrisy in a mainstream TV show as early as 1974.
You're a sanctimonious hypocrite of a Bible-spouting blackmailer, and I've given you your last chance to be fair.
The great Ida Lupino has a lot more to get her teeth into in this role than she did as dear old Aunt Doris back in Short Fuse.
Hell, we can sell out Tommy Brown for damn near a month here.
I don't hold with profanity, Mr. Dodds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tommy gets fed up with being under Edna's thumbscrews, so plans to commit the most daring murder in Columbo history. While flying into LA from Bakersfield in bad weather, private pilot Tommy knocks Edna and Marianne out cold with the help of some coffee spiked with barbiturates.
Tom, this is the most horrible coffee I've ever tasted.
Then he fucking jumps out of the plane and uses a homemade parachute to land safely on the ground. Well, relatively safely. He does suffer a broken leg in the process. I guess you could say he hurt himself today. Meanwhile, the plane crashes into the mountainside and explodes. Bye-bye Edna and Marianne. There's a part here where Tommy has to hide his parachute before anyone else arrives to the crash site, and it's a really gripping scene as he scrambles frantically to cram the chute under a log with only seconds left to spare. Man, Tommy might have gotten away with it all looking like a tragic accident if not for Edna's brother Luke filing a complaint to the LAPD claiming that there may have been foul play involved, which draws Columbo onto the case. At the crash site, he meets Chief Accident Investigator Roland Pangborn, played by John Denner, who I quite like in this. They could have easily made this guy an ineffective bureaucrat, like, say, Agent Carlson in Ransom for a Dead Man, but instead he's quite respectful towards Columbo, and they quickly strike up a friendly rapport. Pangborn's even nice enough to say Columbo would make a good air crash investigator, but...
I appreciate it, sir, but my ears pop in an elevator. As a matter of fact, I don't even like being this tall.
Columbo then stops by Edna's funeral, and we get our third appearance by Vito Scotti, here playing a funeral director who shamelessly tries to sign Columbo up for a funeral plan of his own.
Just this morning at breakfast with my dear wife Martha, I glanced in the papers and I noted that the rate of the police mortality is just, it's shocking. I mean, it's just, well, you must be aware of that.
The lieutenant meets up with Luke and they drive over to Tommy's place, where they find it a little odd that Tommy's having a good old-fashioned sing-song on the day of his wife's funeral.
And I stop beside a Sunday school, listen to the songs that they were singing.
Check out these boomers in the background, they're having the time of their life. If you ever find yourself at an event like this though, be sure not to try the chili.
Say, that's delicious. I never tasted chili like that before.
That special recipe made out of squirrel meat. That's good, ain't it?
Yeah, that explains it.
Luke ends up losing his temper and fucking decks Tommy in the face.
You're crazy!
After that, he's dragged out of the episode and we don't see Luke again. And thank God for that, because honestly, he was a pretty lousy actor.
I'm not very smart, and I don't know how I did it. I just know somehow I did. Because he hated my sister. He never loved her. He just used her.
Yes, sir, you've told me that.
The interaction between Columbo and Tommy Brown are the true highlight of the episode.
I'm Lieutenant Columbo. I'm from the LAPD homicide.
Homicide?
As I said at the start, casting Johnny Cash seems like a terrible idea, considering he wasn't known as an actor, but as a singer. But he acquits himself pretty well.
Thanks.
He would later write in his autobiography, "Peter Falk was good to me. I wasn't at all confident about handling a dramatic role, and every day he helped me in all kinds of little ways." They have an easy, natural chemistry that reminds one of any old port in a storm's central relationship. Once again, Columbo and the killer genuinely enjoy being around one another, although they bond in different ways, which helps prevent Swan's song from simply feeling like a rethread.
That's exactly what I thought. As a matter of fact, I like it better myself.
In Any Old Port, Columbo and Corsini were able to respect each other's dedication to the pursuit of perfection in their respective fields. In Swan Song, Columbo and Tommy Brown share a mutual humility, an earthiness which sets Tommy apart from the usual ultra-rich, high society types Columbo runs into. You get the sense that both of these men came from pretty much nothing and had to really work hard to get to where they are now. And Columbo is complimentary to how Tommy's managed to rebuild his life since then into something new.
That's been an inspiration to a lot of people.
Cash's presence also, of course, lends the episode a rich musical quality.
On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned.
We get to hear him perform several times throughout, and it's a joy in every instance.
You got a good ear for music.
Well, you know I'm Italian.
Keep an ear open for a nice little name drop.
Anyway, I spoke to your arranger.
Nick Solicanto.
Yeah, that's him. You know, he's Italian, too.
This is a nod to the episode's director, Nicholas Colasanto, who previously helmed Etude in Black. Guess he was the go-to guy for any episode that was music-themed.
Come on, Lieutenant!
Want to hear the biggest whopper Columbo's ever told?
I always think it's kind of impolite to keep firing questions at people.
There's a lot of good clues in this one too. At the crash site, Columbo finds that Tommy's seatbelt was already open before the plane went down. The navigation box is empty, when it should contain various maps and charts to be used by the pilot. And why did Tommy not take his signature guitar aboard with him, even though he usually never lets it leave his side? And Tommy, despite not being an evil genius like many other Columbo killers, has some pretty good answers.
Well, the changes in pressure and altitude can affect a good guitar like that, ruin the tone.
My favorite is his explanation for the empty nav box. He took the maps and charts out, and they simply got sucked out the window.
Big suction.
However, the net starts to close on Brown as Columbo looks deeper into his history, namely his service in the Korean War.
Were you in that one?
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, I was in that one.
For the first time, we also get a mention of Columbo's own military service record.
Let me guess what you were in. MPs.
KP, mostly.
Columbo goes to see Tommy's former commander, Colonel Mayhoff.
Tommy Brown. He's a big star.
Really? Made it in the movies, huh?
This scene's pretty funny, but this guy seems like something straight out of a Zucker Brothers movie. It's so odd.
May I use your telephone?
Keep it short, will you? Never know when there might be an alert.
Absolutely.
The key information we learn during this scene is that Tommy's primary role in the Air Force was a parachute rigger, and Tommy would have had easy access to the perfect amount of nylon he'd need in order to, say, make his own parachute, as the Lost Souls Crusade uses nylon to make its stage costumes. Cue another priceless interaction, this time between Columbo and the barmy seamstress.
Well, of what? Are you with the Vice Squad? I remember having a good time.
No. No, ma'am. No, I'm not with the Vice Squad.
What's up with this moment of clearly sped up footage? That's so out of place.
So there's only 45 yards missing.
Only 45 square yards missing out of sheer forgetfulness. And the prices have surely risen 4 or 5 cents a yard.
Uh-oh, looks like Tommy's up to his old tricks again.
Then I want you to make me out a big, long list of things that I can do for you for being so nice to Tommy Brown.
I wonder what he has on his mind.
Big suction.
Time for Columbo to set his final trap. I've always loved this moment where Columbo was about to make a phone call while listening to Tommy playing guitar. The tune he plays is so beautiful, and the look on Falk's face is so enigmatic. I've always wondered if, at this point, Columbo briefly considers hanging up and just letting Tommy get away with it. But the lieutenant's got a job to do, and he's going to do it. By now, Columbo's exhumed the bodies and discovered traces of barbiturates in their system, but proposes a theory to Tommy that someone else could have spiked the coffee in an attempt to kill Tommy himself, hoping that he'll fall asleep at the controls of the plane and crash.
Now, why would anybody want to kill me?
Mr. Brown, I don't know, but you are a celebrity, and there are a lot of crackpots in the world, and there's just no accounting for people's reactions. I mean, sometimes I even wonder about my wife. Not that she's a crackpot, but
So now he wants to have the mountainside combed in an effort to find the coffee thermos, hoping that the supposed assassin's fingerprints will be on it. Of course, Tommy couldn't give a shit about the thermos, but that huge homemade parachute he hid up there? Oh yeah, he's worried about that. But not worried enough, it seems, as even Columbo has the wind taken out of his sails by a master fake-out from Brown himself. He just hops on a plane to San Francisco and fucks off out of LA. How's he going to lead Columbo to the parachute if he's not even in the same city? Notice here the lady with the fur coat who apparently possesses powers of teleportation. But Tommy can't stay away for long, and in the end he just has to play into but Tommy can't stay away for long, and in the end he just has to play into Columbo's hands. The crucial clue for the lieutenant was that for some reason, Tommy brought the keys to his rented car with him on the plane. Why would he do such a thing and not simply turn the keys back in at the airport unless he was planning to immediately fly back to LA, pick up his rental car, and drive up to the mountains?
You knew I was coming up here.
I knew. Then I didn't know. And then I knew.
The final scene is the only part of the episode that I feel is too similar to any old port in a storm.
Aren't you afraid being up here alone with a killer?
Columbo and the killer sharing a quiet last moment together in a car, Columbo almost showing remorse for having to arrest his quarry.
Sooner or later you would have confessed even if I hadn't caught you.
Yeah, you're right, Lieutenant, I would have. Because it was getting to me, and I'm glad it's over.
This wouldn't be so bad, honestly, if not for the fact that these two episodes happen in the same season. Could they not have at least held this one off till season 4? Though it is better than the attempt in the last episode.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Also, this line.
Listen. Any man that can sing like that can't be all bad.
A nice sentiment, to be sure, but what was that one thing that the guy who could sing like that did? What was it he did again?
Statutory rape.
Yeah, that. Thank you. Well, nobody's perfect, I guess, right? Oh, and just one more thing. Did you spot Sorrel Book, aka Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard himself, as Tommy Brown's uber funky producer? Now there's a guy who's got style.
Hey, there you go, Lieutenant.
Praise the Lord.